Hi there, my name is Belinda Dubston and welcome to the I Ching Cafe. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Well, let's look ahead to the week, commencing the 4th of May, our first weekly overview for the month of May, and have a look at what the I Ching is asking us to pay attention to this month. Right, before we do that, let's recap what happened last week. Well, quite an interesting week. We had 47 exhaustion leading to 40 deliverance. And I have spent time thinking about how on earth is exhaustion and depletion and feeling isolated going to affect me and us last week. Thought about it. What is it going to be? Is my exhaustion going to be physical exhaustion? What is it going to be? And I hope that you've been working with exhaustion last week and just being patient and kind with yourself, recognizing the type of exhaustion you are in. And I assumed it was going to be physical exhaustion because I had a huge media project that I was involved with, 15 interviews, into videos, massive processing, massive work, and I thought I was going to fall over after that. It turned out that my computers fell over. And so I was very reminded by the I Ching this past week that, remember the nose and toes cut off where authority has made it difficult to get what you need? Yes, in lockdown, very difficult to solve computer problems when you cannot go anywhere. So needless to say, a huge struggle with exhausted PCs, running out of space, running out of processing power, not being usable, moving things backwards and forwards from different PCs to get a result. And in the final hour on Sunday, a very special person drove 70 kilometers through many roadblocks to come and bring me a backup computer to allow just to alleviate some of the stress in this picture. So deliverance came. So how was your week last week? I've also been thinking about how I'm starting to see our weekly overview starting to be mirrored in our external events that are happening in our world. So as I go through the weekly overview, I will touch on how this might look in our external world, how we might see this flow of change manifesting around us. And in particular, do you remember we had the weekly overview where the week ended, the Sunday cycle ended with 45 amassing, which is about the crowd, gathering the crowd. And that was the very Saturday and Sunday that we had the Global Citizen Concert, where we had over 100 performers around the world join in a massive concert, the first of its kind ever, and of course millions of people around the world joining in. And I sat at the concert and I was watching these performers and I thought, oh, amazing, it's a huge crowd. So how amazing is that? Right, so let's get into this week, what we need to pay attention to this week for us to maximize our development. Because remember, the I Ching is saying these are areas this week, people, we need to grow up in. We need to develop, we need to mature, we need to find the path of the superior person, the path of the master, which is what the I Ching is trying to help us to do every week, every month, every year. So this week we have Hexagram 48, the well. Now the well is a beautiful symbol and it requires a little bit of storytelling because in ancient times when a village was established, one of the most important things for this village to thrive, for it to be in the right place or situation, is for it to have good water. And so you can imagine a new tribe looking for a new town to build or a village or a settlement, saying, where can we find water? Where can we dig for spring water? And typically you'd find that the beginning of that village would be the place, the well, where the water source can be found. And then the village grows and develops around that well and is nurtured and established by that well. And this is the very heart of what this hexagram refers to, this idea of this inexhaustible supply of nourishment, of resources to feed and bond the community together. It's the underlying social framework, the community, the network, the roots of the tree that hold everything together. So what we're being asked to pay attention to this week is the well. Now there are two things to this. One is, how do we build and sustain a well in our own lives? What is the well internally? And then what is the well in our business and in our relationships? What is that inexhaustible essence that binds us all together, the center of the network, the thing that then nourishes the tribe and provides this flow of life force, because everybody, young and old, rich, poor, and otherwise, all need to drink water. We all need water, irrespective of our class of society or our perceptions of class. So this is the thing that binds us. So if we look at a personal level this week, we're being asked to make sure that our well draws deep, beautiful, nourishing liquid. Okay. Now, typically, what the well is challenging us to do is to dig deeper, because if we take surface water, we don't get that beautiful, clean spring water that's oozed up through the earth. So let's dig deeper and really tap into that thing that's in the center of us, that is our well. What is your well? Okay, what is the thing that nourishes you without limits? And for a lot of us, that's love. And in a workplace environment, maybe that's the purpose of the organization, the heart of the organization, the soul of what you do, and how it nourishes people. As leaders, your challenge for this week in working with the well is to make sure that you are nourishing your tribe, that everyone has access, that everyone can gain, that everyone is nourished by the well, that you are looking after your network, your underlying social structure that sits beneath your organization. It's a tragedy in these times to hear in articles you see all over the place of some horrifying statistics of companies that just have not ever asked their employees how you're doing. And you're at home, you're working remotely, and no one's actually reached out and said, hey, how are you doing? And it's that kind of thing of like that nourishment of that central life spring, the spring in your team, the spring in your business. What does that spring water symbolize for you? And are you looking after it? A beautiful symbol of creating a structure that brings people together. That's what the well does. And how can your business and your family be the well? Be the best well that you can be. Now we have one changing line this week. It's in the 4th position. And this line says, the well is being lined with tiles, and while it's being lined, it cannot be used. So this means, if you think about it logically, we're doing a refurb job on the well, right? We realized that we had old terracotta tiles and they're kind of disintegrating. We need to put special porcelain tiles in. We need to reline this well and reinforce it and prepare it for the next phase. And so work is required on the well. And while we're doing that, the refurbishment work means there's certain things we can't do. So the well is temporarily out of order. And what this means for us is there's some development work going on this week that we're being asked to pay attention to, that we are being given permission to do. So inner development work might be your own development, your own, perhaps it's a course, or perhaps it's your own process of just sitting with something you're working through, but doing some inner work. In a business, this might be doing some inner work in your business. So the well, which is the structure, the thing that gives life and nourishment to your customers, your suppliers, your stakeholders, your community, is needing some refurbishment this week. And it's all good. You've been given permission to do the work of repairing the well and putting everything back into place, preparing for the next stage. Now, I totally understand that there's going to be an element for me this week of having had the PC disaster from last week, that there's a recovery and rebuilding process this week of now using a whole new set of technology. And so I understand already that might be one place that I need to go through some development work and put aside time to rebuild the inside of the well. So for you, what does that mean? In your business, what is the development work you need to do on the structure? Right? This is not about the purpose itself, but the structure that supports life. What do you have to do this week? And then from a bigger global point of view, the point of the well is to, with fairness, make sure everyone gets what they need. Everyone is nourished, everyone gets the liquid refreshment they need to sustain themselves. And I think that part of what we're going to start seeing in our structures, remember the well is a structure, we're going to see social development structures under a bit of pressure and a bit of work this week, redeveloping how they deploy water. I'm not sure if this means water issues will come to the fore, or water distribution issues, but just keep your eyes open in the news for things like distribution of food issues, distribution of welfare issues, structures related to making sure everyone has an equal share, those kinds of social order structures, the underlying structure that supports humanity. Those are the types of things that are going to be under development this week and are needing to be reinforced. Perhaps the way they worked in the past cannot handle the volume and the requirement of our current time. So just keep your eye open for that. Our outcome hexagram, or our second hexagram of the week, the one that runs in parallel and goes in strength as we head towards the end of the week, is hexagram 28, Great Pressure. Okay, so this is the coal being caressed into diamonds. So this is crisis, stress, and overload of circuits, overload of work this week. So part of this well process, I would imagine, you still have to operate and you still have to do something, but you're also having to reline the well. So are we building ships while we're sailing? And so this is the pressure week tied to this well. So just be mindful that when we are in a crisis, or when we're under pressure, or when we are carrying a heavy load, it's not the time to put excess stuff on there. Say yes, 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 yes to anything. It's about saying what is essential and everything else gets put down. So you might need some urgent reprioritizing this week to help just take a little bit of stress off the week, because there's well building, there's life living, there's family, there's business, it's all happening, and of course you're building while you're trying to do what you're doing. So manage your stress this week. Just recognize where you're feeling compressed. Just take off everything that's not important. There's tons of stuff on your shoulders right now that's actually not important this week. Prioritize. So good luck with that week. There's well building. There's nourishment that's there to be reactivated once you've done some development work on it. And of course the pressure of the diamond being formed. There's new things being birthed. We are all under massive amount of pressure. So just be kind to others as we all go through this together. Well, if this is meaningful to you, please share this on to a friend or a colleague you think will find it useful. And of course, like and join us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter for our daily stories. Share how perhaps exhaustion from last week impacted you. What did you notice about it, if anything? And looking forward to seeing you in our next weekly overview. Thank you so much. Have a good one.